Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Nice to see
Morning.
you. Welcome. Joni and Paul and Kim and Lori and Dee. Nice to see you.
Mhm.
Welcome. Morning, Laura.
Lori. I
Or
know a lot
morning
of you may know
again.
they're
We've seen
coming.
you. Yeah. It's pretty wild when you've seen someone before 7 in the morning.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hello everybody. Oh, here comes Heidi. I think
Yeah.
we got at least one more person that we know is coming. Um, so normally what we do is we record these sessions and then we make those sessions unlisted on YouTube and everybody has the opportunity to watch again. How would you all feel about us making this recording public so that other people out in YouTube land can hear this message that Tom has to bring? Would that be okay for everyone? Yeah. Any objections? If you're not comfortable with having your face and your voice on camera for the public to see, you are welcome to turn your camera off if that makes things feel a little bit safer for you.
And don't be intimidated. It's not like we have more than 12 followers. So.
I think we have 38, but I don't
Okay,
think they're
38. Woo! Exaggerating is my forte. So.
Yeah. Well, welcome. We are really excited to have a special guest. It's been a really long time since we've brought a special guest in. So it is our absolute pleasure to introduce you to Thomas Williams this morning. Tom has been
Morning.
there's Tom. Well, he's in my top right corner. Um,
Thank you.
Tom's been a dedicated practitioner of Shinnyo-en Buddhism since 2010 when he began his spiritual journey in Vancouver, BC. Over the years, his commitment to the teachings has taken him through extensive study and practice in both Canada and Japan, deepening his understanding of Buddhist philosophy, compassion, and mindful living. After years of training and sharing the teachings with friends, family, and members of his community, Tom was ordained in 2018 at the Shinnyo-en Head Temple in Tokyo, Japan, an important milestone recognizing his devotion to the path and his commitment to supporting others in their own spiritual journeys. A resident of North Vancouver for more than 30 years now, Thomas has built a life rooted in craftsmanship, creativity, and connection. Professionally, he works as a finisher at a high-end architectural millwork shop where precision, patience, and attention to detail are central to his craft. He's responsible for a whole bunch of people too, by the way. And outside of his work, he embraces the natural beauty of the North Shore through mountain bike riding with friends, including Jeff, and biking with friends, and expresses his creative spirit as a guitarist, performing with several local rock bands, including OCDC. Drawing on decades of life experience along with his Buddhist practice, Thomas brings a grounded, approachable, and compassionate presence to everybody he meets. He is passionate about helping others explore mindfulness, cultivate inner peace, and discover practical ways to integrate Buddhist wisdom into everyday life. Without any further ado, I will hand the floor over to Mr. Williams. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Wow, thank you, Carol. It's prepared an amazing introduction. That's beyond more than I could ever expect. Thank you so much, and thank you very much again for inviting me to meet everybody today. As I mentioned when we just hopped on together, I said I don't think I was nervous till about 5 minutes before we started here. So I hope I can explain myself properly without getting too nervous here. But thank you so much again for having me on. I'm really happy to meet everyone and share a little bit about Shinnyo-en and hopefully brighten your day a little bit. I kind of don't know if I can add much more to that introduction. Like Carol said, I'm in North Vancouver and a regular working guy, and I've got involved in practicing Shinnyo-en Buddhism through my wife, who's Japanese. And it has completely changed my life for the positive. I think maybe I'll just start there with my own personal experience of how it's really, really kind of helped me grow as a human being and to find a much better path. I think when I first encountered my meeting my wife and being introduced to Shinnyo-en Buddhism, I think personally I was in a pretty dark place. In all aspects, I think, of my life, financially, emotionally, spiritually, um, everything. And once I kind of started embracing a little bit of the ideas around Shinnyo-en, I saw a complete drastic change for the positive. And again, every aspect of my world seemed to change really quickly. One thing that really stood out for me, I think, at that time, I think I was really searching for something, and how to find my way through this crazy world that we live in. And I read several different kind of philosophies, a little bit about Taoism or Christianity or Buddhism, and throughout all of them, I kept seeing a common theme. And one of the first couple times that I had actually attended services at the Shinnyo-en Temple, I heard the same theme again, and it just kind of hit me uh, like a beam of light. And I thought, okay, the universe is trying to tell me something here, so I should pay attention. And so I really started to be a little bit more involved, and bit by bit, my life really, really changed for the positive. So maybe I just briefly talk about what Shinnyo-en is. I don't want to get into a huge history lesson or anything, but Shinnyo-en is a lay Buddhist order, which basically means us lay people, us regular folks, can practice. It's not like monastics living on the top of a mountain and shaving your head and taking vows of silence and this extreme practices. It's more how to incorporate. We learn how to incorporate Buddhist teachings that we can put into our real life, like in the 21st century here. Um, it has its roots in Shingon Buddhism. Our founder, Shinjo Ito, was trained and ordained at the Daigoji Monastery in Kyoto, and became a Buddhist master himself, and eventually, excuse me, founded Shinnyo-en Buddhism. So, um, again, he was kind of searching for that path that could help the regular person, because traditionally, Shingon Buddhism and other sects of Buddhism, especially in Japan, of course, would always be handed down from master to disciple, and it wasn't so much available for the public. The public would come and make offerings or watch services, like watch the monks perform services. But in Shinnyo-en, we are actually involved. We're doing the chanting, and we're learning directly. So let's see what. So one thing that separates, or one thing that's kind of unique for Shinnyo-en Buddhism, is that we follow the Nirvana Sutra. So the Buddha left several sutras, and as on his deathbed, he gave his final teaching, which we call the Parinirvana Sutra, which encompasses all his previous teachings, and is in Shinjo Ito's study. He read all the scriptures, and after reading the Nirvana Sutra, he found kind of found his answer that he was looking for. He was looking for a path on how to share these teachings with the general public and with the regular person. So he made it his life goal to try to develop a way that would be easy for us to follow and incorporate these ideas, and again, like they said, to actually put them into practice in modern times.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
What's a sutra?
A sutra. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So sutra is basically a group of the teachings that that had been written down after the Buddha's passing. And again, I don't want to get too deep into a history lesson, but kind of when the Buddha was alive and gave talks, it wasn't really so much of a written record of what he said. And so people were encouraged to kind of repeat it to each other, or tell stories, as opposed to writing it down. Like, and we're talking like 2,600 years ago, written word wasn't as common maybe as it was today. So over time, eventually people started writing down these sutras. So it would be categorized kind of towards the time, like early on, and after the Buddha was enlightened, he gave his first kind of sutra, or his first teaching, his first talking to the disciples. And over time, he would give more in depth, or a different idea he would expound on. So there's about 4 or 5 main bodies of work that were kind of compiled, and we can go back and see and read these volumes of work. And as I said, like his final one we call the Nirvana Sutra, which would have been him talking at the very end of his life. Buddha passed when he was 80 years old, and at that time he invited anybody to ask. He said, this is it. I'm dying. I'm on my way out. So if there's anything you want to know now, I'm gonna share the final. This is my final talk as before I pass into nirvana. So it's I guess that's, hopefully that helps. So each body of work, they call a sutra. Like there's a Lotus Sutra and a Heart Sutra, and it's kind of a body of written work, for lack of.
So a category, so to speak.
Yeah.
Categorized. Could you talk to the principles of like the Buddhism that you follow? I would love to hear some of the sort of base line reasons why we, like, as far as religions go, there's obviously lots and lots of them. I know that for me, in listening to some of the Hindu followings was one God, many paths. So I like that concept and idea. I just learned that my son studies religion, which I think is interesting. So I love the history, or love to listen to him sort of know some of the history. And of course, this is all interpreted by the people that have handed it down. So I just am interested for our Soul Spa group, what principles they might want to lean into if they're not going to follow Buddhism, as you have decided. What would be some principles that they could follow on a daily?
Well, some of the basic ideas is, of course, mostly quite common with a lot of religions, right? We just try to think of other people first and try to put their needs in front of our own, or to be kind to each other. Basically everybody just wants to be happy. So we're all trying to find a way to do that. I think, well, oftentimes we say that each of us has a Buddha nature within us. So each of us in our natural state is that way. We just want to be happy. We just want to have people, kind to us, and we want to be kind to each other. And I think sometimes that gets lost in in society, and So I think that's one super basic thing that we try to just keep in mind is just to be kind to each other and try to help each other and have compassionate heart towards our fellow human being. Also, I think just with the idea of Buddhism, I guess we talk about karma, I guess. So each of us has our own karma that we deal with, and good karma and bad karma. So that's another thing we can kind of reflect on and work through the difficulties in our life as negative karma, I guess, pops up every now and then. And so we try to learn how to deal with that. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Yeah,
But
it just, the basics, I guess. And so
yeah.
could you walk us through your daily practice, I guess,
Oh,
or things that
okay.
you lean into if it's not daily?
Okay. Well, for myself personally, we do some brief meditation and chanting in the morning and in the evening. So I'll get up in the morning and I'll do 5 minutes. We have this abbreviated set of chanting that we do, and I'll kind of prepare for my day. But just throughout the day, I think I try to just keep be mindful of myself. I think that's one of the biggest things of Buddhism is just mindfulness. Um, so it's easy to say, but sometimes it's hard to actually implement. So just being aware of, what I'm thinking or what I'm saying or how I'm acting towards the other people. And I think another big thing is self-reflection. So I think maybe before I got involved, I didn't really think about these concepts so deeply. So once I started to reflect a little bit more on myself and my actions and my words, I really noticed a lot of areas for improvement, shall we say. So I guess again, back to my daily, I guess in my regular day, I try to keep mindful of what's coming out of my mouth or how am I treating my coworker. Am I being uh, considerate or compassionate towards this fellow human being? I think in the past I certainly was not. So I've learned how to try to be a little more mindful of my words and actions. So throughout my day, I'll definitely do a lot of self-reflection in that regard. And
Can I ask about that?
yeah,
So,
of course.
when with self-reflection, is that attached to guilt and shame?
I
Or how
don't.
do you handle any guilt and shame that comes up in that self-reflection?
Um, how do I handle that? That's a good question. I'm not sure. I would really say it's directly guilt and shame, but it definitely. I think the more you become aware of how you are interacting with the people around you, it gives you opportunity to change little by little. So I don't think um,
You're not sitting there beating yourself up on
I,
that
I, I
self-reflection.
don't think anything would be, I don't think that's going to help too much other than you can kind of go down a negative spiral of feeling bad about yourself. I guess, right? Like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't have said that. And that's natural. That's okay. But I think the key is to do action. And I think that's one of the best things I do love about Shinnyo-en is that you need to do some kind of action. So and that's a great example of what do you do. So rather than beating yourself up and being, you know, down about the situation or the reflecting on what you may or may not have done properly, the best action is to try to move forward and little by little change that behavior to the better. If that makes sense.
It does. Well, and that sounds to me like a practice instead of the idea of standing an image of perfection.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course. We're all human. I don't know of anybody who's perfect or ever would be, but
But do you ever feel like throat punching anyone?
of course, of
Okay, good.
course.
Good to hear.
Yeah,
See?
like I said, we're all human beings, and we all deal with all kinds of craziness out there in this wacky world we all live in. So I think that's one of the main reasons I do kind of try to get so involved in Shinnyo-en, because it's really taught me how to work through those situations. But of course, I get angry at people, or frustrated in traffic, or all the things we all deal with on a daily basis. But it's how we deal with them that's important, rather than me going off the handle and swearing and jumping up and down and stomping my feet. I've learned to take a breath and just stand back for a second, consider consider my next move. I try not to throat punch people, Tanya. No,
Okay, good.
I wasn't always that way, but I've come a long way.
That's awesome. Would it be okay if we opened up the floor to anybody
Of
that has
course, of
questions? Yeah,
course.
okay, perfect. So I don't know if anybody has any questions, but we're unmute yourself and as usual, bring your voice into the room if you have any questions about what Tom's talking about. Or this idea of being a good human.
Yeah, and I'm also what I would like you to share with us, Tom, when you were here visiting, you were talking about your ancestors and
Oh,
how you bring
yes.
your ancestors forward. I'd love to hear that in this room too, like just how you honor your ancestors.
Sure. That's another thing that I kind of I learned about through practicing this, is the idea of having gratitude towards our ancestors. And personally, I kind of wasn't really sure what that meant, and then I started thinking about it, and about my personal situation. I when I think of ancestors, I think of my grandmother. Was I knew one of my grandparents. The others had passed before my time, and I even after my grandmother that I did know had passed. I remember as a kid thinking, sometimes if I got in some trouble or some physical thing, and somebody would say like, "Oh, you've got a guardian angel," or that kind of talk. I always thought, "Oh, it must be my grandmother." So in that regard, I thought of my ancestor. But when I started practicing Shinnyo-en, they talk a lot about having gratitude for the ancestors that you've got, and it kind of opened it up a little deeper, because I thought, well, I knew my grandmother, that's fine, but what about before that? So I thought about, maybe a generation before that or another generation before that. And I started to realize that there's not just a few ancestors, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ancestors that have gone back through time, that if it wasn't for their life and their actions, I would not be here. And when I realized how many hundreds or thousands of people that really we're talking about, all of a sudden it kind of blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, there's like that's the that's what they're talking about. They're talking about ancestors, like lots of them. So once I kind of broke through that in my mind, I thought a little differently. And I started to realize that having gratitude for the many, many, many people that came before me, because without even one of them, I would not be here experiencing this life today. So um, through some specific services throughout the year, we have opportunity to offer prayers and spiritual consolation and that type of thing. We have merit transfer, we call merit transfer service in Shinnyo-en, and gives us that opportunity to pay respect to our ancestors and to offer gratitude. And I think that's really, really has been really helpful to open that door in my mind and think about that. Whereas before I never gave it a thought. So uh, I'm sure you've all thought about gratitude in many different ways, but to have gratitude for the many people that came before us, I find is really, really important.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about that, that actually really blew my mind because, like you, yeah, it's like, oh, there's my grandparents. Yeah, and that's kind of the stop.
Yeah,
Like,
that's kind of where it ended. I'm like, okay, I got that. I can understand that. But once they kind of open the door to more, it kind of hit me like a bolt of lightning. It was kind of overwhelming at the moment when I realized, you know, how many people had to make efforts before me that I might be enjoying this life. And kind of one little thing that just kind of changed my attitude towards the history of my family, my idea of what that meant, I guess.
and how does that play with the karma? Like that you talked about, positive and negative karma, and how does that is that impacted ancestrally as well?
I think when I originally would have thought about karma, I always thought it was myself. It just kind of started with me and ended with me. And I kind of understood that, that idea of karma and cause and effect. And I always felt, if I did something wrong or I had to pay for that in a karma kind of way, then I was good with that. I could understand that. But I think once I started thinking more about the idea of ancestors and reflecting on my life and what I knew about those closest to me, I think it opened it up a little bit more. And I realized that I think I opened my mind to the idea that karma was a little deeper than just myself. And I started to think more about the family's karma. And it's kind of, again, it was just another kind of different idea that I wasn't familiar with. That once I started thinking about it a little more deeply, I could see connections that made me think, yeah, it is related to my ancestors or those that came before me. And it might sound silly, but even just my closest, like thinking of my father, um, and this is kind of silly. I sometimes hesitate to say it because it's so minor, but I broke my finger. It's dislocated and it doesn't bend properly. I did that. I understand that. I know how I broke it. And I didn't realize, but when I was talking with my father a few months ago and he'd done the same thing to his other hand. And I thought, wait a second, he did that and I did that, but they're told it's not like a hereditary thing. It's not like a genetic thing. It's a broken finger. It's not genetics. You know what I mean? But at the same time, we both had that same injury in the same spot. And it made me kind of just make a connection to the possibility that we share the same karma. So it kind of, that's like I said, it's just a one small thing that kind of opened my mind to that idea. But I think through other things in my life, I can see more connections. That's a really simple one that I can try to explain to other people. But personally and more in depth with myself and my family, I can see other connections, and I've opened my mind to the idea that yeah, I think karma has come down through the generations. Good karma and bad karma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Residue.
Yeah, Heidi, I'm sure you're burning to ask a question.
Well, I'm looking at how this, I learned a few things when I was in Peru. I went to a shamanic, training, and so many things kind of are similar, especially about the ancestors. They
Wow.
always, make an offering to the ancestors. They are always grateful. And also they always, when they put, say, in the spring, they seed the fields, first they thank for the harvest. They thank the seeds for producing the harvest. It's not like we do the Thanksgiving at the end when we have harvested, right? They're the opposite. They thank at the beginning. And that's the same with the ancestors. And, I always thought some of this must be genetic. Like you said, you may have a mole on your forehead that your great-grandfather had the same mole. I mean, we're going with one little seed, the thing you can hardly see. And we have all these traits, and I guess the karma from all these people that came before us, a long chain of them. And we have all this, and some of it is purely physical, and some of it is definitely in your in your expression of your essence, meaning who you really are. And that's what I see that in Buddhism, because we are innocent when we're born, but we have a little thing from the ancestors. But we are then, of course, trained to become, we're conditioned, especially in this culture. It's the conditioning is kind of awful. And we have to unlearn that stuff. And that's, I think Buddhism looks like the right way to approach this, or one of the right ways. There are many. But I think, like you said, it's not a priest has to do this for you. You can directly understand. You are a child of God. Therefore, you're Buddha yourself. And you can learn how to become that and train yourself to become more, awareness being the first step. Hey, I'm conditioned. I'm, and then let it go. So it really appeals to me that you took this path, and it's very interesting. And you live in North Van, where I live, and I'm going to Dog Mountain in about an hour from now.
Oh, fantastic!
Not with a bike, just with 2 sticks and a group of people. So, I love nature, and I think that's another thing. We are at the same time, we're nature, not just, but we're a spirit that needs to understand and treasure that. We're part of nature. Yeah.
Yes,
But
that's
thanks for your
fantastic. Yes.
words. It has so many connections that I've already kind of explored in the past. I'm now 84, so I'm sort of older than the Buddha.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a crazy thing to think about. So I'm somebody's ancestors, and yet, and I have many, many ancestors. So that's a good thing.
Love that.
Yeah.
Kimmy, I see you preparing.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
sharing.
Yeah, it was very nice to hear your words.
Our head of Shinnyo-en, Shinnyo Keisha-sama, she is also 84. She's still very much active in directing Shinnyo-en, and I'm very happy to hear your sharing. Thank you so much, Heidi.
Thank you for being here and sharing with us. Sorry, you can't see me. The sun is rising behind me.
I love
That's okay. I can feel your sincerity. It's
yeah.
Go for it, Kimmy.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Now I can see you better.
Hi, Thomas. My name's Kim. I'm over on Vancouver Island. And thank you for your sharing with us today. I was a bit curious about a couple things. If you would like to share, how old were you when you chose to make this change in your life and practice how you show up differently?
Well, I'm 57 now, and so I met my wife in 2010. So that was 16 years ago, I guess. So I was about 41, 42.
Okay. And when you obviously started to show up differently in relationships, I suspect with friends and family, how did they respond? I mean, also suspect it was, somewhat gradual, but were you met with any resistance from people that are like, what are you talking about?
Um, I think my world changed relatively quickly once I started practicing, and I think my friends around me were happy and maybe even a little shocked on how quickly I dropped some really bad habits.
Mm.
Like, for example, like I said, when I first met my wife, I was kind of in a dark place, financially, spiritually, emotionally. Um, I used to smoke and drink a lot of beer and hang with the guys and just do stupid stuff. And quite naturally, one by one, these kind of things fell away from my life. So the group of friends that I had that were used to seeing me that way were quite surprised that all of a sudden I didn't have a beer in my hand every 5 seconds, or I changed jobs and I changed residence and I changed vehicles and I changed everything about my life. Kind of changed really quickly in the first couple of years, and it was quite a drastic but positive change. So I think the people around me were very happy because I
Did
think they
you
knew that I needed to break those dark habits and to move away from that. And as far as resistance to, or criticism practicing Buddhism, I don't know if I really encountered too much of that. I think more than anything, they were happy to see that I was happy. I think that was the
did
biggest thing.
anybody join you? Did anybody get curious enough to say, hey,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Some of my close friends, like Carol's partner, Jeff, I've known for several years, and he's seen the good side and bad side of me for sure. But when I invited him and Carol to come to the local Shinnyo Center, they came first invitation, and they said, "Oh, great, this is awesome. We'd love to learn more." And
right.
I think that some people are naturally curious, and I look at that as kind of a green light to try to share more with them. Whereas some of my friends, they're not so curious. So,
Mm.
and that's fine. But they can see, even if they're not curious about doing it themselves, they could see the change
Are
in
you
me, and they were happy for me. I guess does that answer your question?
totally? I just like knowing yourself, the difference in your life. Are you ever, I know you can't do this, but gosh, I want to help people around me
Sure,
that are struggling, right?
of course, yes,
So it
every
would be
day.
it. How do you prevent yourself from you know uh, telling people, look, snap out of it.
Well, that's a really good question. I think one thing I've learned through the years is that everybody has their own capacity about how much they can accept, or how they can hear your words, so to speak. And I think you need to kind of know your friend in front of you, how can you teach them, or how can you help them? Some people are
Yeah.
really hard to reach, whereas some people are really open and accepting. So I think each individual has their own capacity to understand what you're trying to share with them. Of course, you just want to help your friend, but there's countless ways of how you can try to do that, and it's not easy. It's really difficult process sometimes.
Yeah,
Or
I'm
some
sure.
friends are super easy, and you can take them by the hand and walk them right to the help, but
Yeah.
other friends are the opposite. So
I
it's
suspect by leading by example is a really good way a good place to start with that.
that's a good way to start. Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna take you all on a car ride now. I'm gonna turn my mic and my video off, but I will keep you in my ears. So Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kim.
Well, I think that's a really good question. It comes coming back to what Tom was saying earlier about self-reflection and, what is it about me that needs to hurry this up for other people too, right? There's a lot of our own stuff that can get in the way. Our agenda, can get in the way and actually be a barrier to that relationship. I remember when I first found Christianity and accepted Christ into my heart when I was like 9 years old. I had a babysitter come and babysit us. And I cried and begged and pleaded her to do the very same thing. And when she didn't, I was afraid and terrified that she wasn't going to get into the gates of heaven. Um, there's this programming that each of us carry with us that is, I was desperate for her to be saved. And it broke my heart that she wouldn't take Christ into her heart.
Yeah.
Obviously, my views have changed since then. But it's the self-reflection piece, I think, is where that comes back to.
Well, an intention.
Mhm.
Like when Kimmy was talking, that intention, right? So, and to really understand that my life isn't someone else's life
Mhm.
and my path isn't someone else's path. As much as I want them to get it, it's probably not spiritually sound. It's not my agenda, right? Shayla asked a good question in the chat, if I could read it. Are ancestors thought of as spirit or universal energy, or is it just a reflection? I asked because I think energy exchange. If it's just reflection, who's receiving my gratitude? Or is it the case of personal growth and expansion, acknowledging the miracle we actually are? It's in the chat if you wanted to sort of read it. I guess that's to you, Tom.
Yeah, I definitely think of them more as like kind of a spirit. And sometimes we talk about being ever present, or a spirit that's ever present or always with us. There's an idea that the spiritual world and the material world are kind of like two sides of the same sheet of paper. So the idea that sure, I think that our ancestors are always with us in a so-called kind of spiritual world, and are quite close to us, I think, sometimes through Shinnyo-en Buddhism. And of course, it's got a lot of aspects of the Japanese heritage infused within it because of hundreds and hundreds of years of developing in Japan. But this time of year, they traditionally have services where people would offer prayers and such to their ancestors. They call the Bon or Ulabana service, which is actually happening today, I believe, in Japan. But Shinnyo-en Buddhism kind of incorporates that idea as well within their services. So again, the idea is that our ancestors are close to us in the spiritual world and are present for us and supporting us, or sometimes asking for help in their situation. Many of these ideas or concepts are a little vague or maybe not so clear to understand, but I think if we open our minds a little bit and think of it, that maybe my ancestors are suffering in the spiritual world. How can I help them? How can I offer them some peace or some so that they can be comfortable in whatever state of energy they might be in. I think that if they are in fact beside us, or if they are in fact in pain in the spiritual world, how can I help them as well? So by offering them gratitude and prayers sincerely, I think that sincerity is passed to them, and in turn they can support me. Again, these ideas are a little, it's up to the individual to kind of open their mind to them or not. But it's not like each of us has their own ideas of how in depth that might be. I hope that helps.
That's awesome.
I'm curious about like this idea of karma.
Okay.
So, I can see or I can follow some of the karma that I feel our family system has. And it's like a puzzle almost. Like I want to figure out how to break free or break through some of that stuff. In your practice or in the Buddhism that you're following, is it a practice to think that you could change that, or is it just
Yes.
dictated the way that it is?
Yes, definitely. I think that's a key component of what we do is that we try to break free from that negative karma, and one way that we can do that is we try to build merit. So we have a simple process of what we call the 3 practices to try to build merit, and basically one of them is to offer ourselves as a volunteer. Or like, for example, I'll attend a service and I will help, run the audiovisual department, or I will, open the door and invite people in, offering myself volunteering. Second would be to offer some monetary offering to the temple, which is often used for charity events, or there's several charities around the world that Shinnyo-en is involved in. So I make it part of my practice to offer monthly a small monetary amount. And a third practice would be to share the teaching with others around me. So these simple 3 practices, if I do them together or individually, accumulate positive merit for me, which in turn helps me kind of overcome some negative karma. Of course, it's a gradual thing, and each step is maybe very small, but they do accumulate. And I do see the positive change through these actions that bit by bit, slowly, I can feel those, like you say, breaking free from some of this karma. And there's other services and opportunities that we have that really help along that path as well. And again, it's a lot of, as I've grown through learning more, I find other ways to try to overcome this, and how to live through these issues. It's been very comfortable to share that idea. That's a really big part of what we do is to try to overcome that karma that we have.
That's awesome. Good question.
Thank you. It's a very good question.
Yeah. We're coming close to the end, and I'd like to be able to invite others to ask questions, but I also want to make sure that, Tom, you have an opportunity to share with people here how they can stay in touch with you, or how they can connect with you either in person or online.
Of course, yeah. I'd be happy to share my email. You can reach out to me directly anytime. We do have a local Shinnyo-en training center in downtown Vancouver. It's the only one in Canada. We do have several temples throughout the United States and in Europe and around the world. But if you want to just reach out to me directly, ask any questions anytime, or come down if you're in Vancouver area, we can try to meet at a service if you're so inclined. But first steps first, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me anytime. My email is lonsdaletom@gmail.com.
And I'll send that out with the recording later today as well.
Oh, you'll have it.
Or tomorrow, whenever we get that sent out. So we'll make sure that we include that.
Thank you, Carol.
Information. Yeah. Yeah. Tom, you also had sent me a picture that you wanted me to share. Would now be a good time to...
Oh, sure. Yeah. I wasn't sure if we have an opportunity for conversation with that direction, but this is a picture of the head of Shinnyo-en. Her name is Keisha-sama. She, as I mentioned earlier, she was 84 years old, and this is just a picture of her in front of one of the Buddha images. We call the reclining Buddha. You possibly familiar with this image, you might have recognized it when you see it. Please feel free to put up the image, Carol, if you have a chance.
Yeah,
It's up.
Can you see it?
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. You're on your phone. You'd have to swipe to the other
Okay.
direction to see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is at the Head Temple in Japan. The Buddha image, like I said, this is called a reclining Buddha, and this was actually sculpted by founder Shinnyo-en, Shinjo Ito. And this is an image, again, like you may recognize a reclining Buddha. So this is kind of associated with the Buddha giving his last teaching before he passed. So that's why he's kind of laying down and propping himself up with one arm is kind of called the reclining Buddha. So again, this was sculpted by the founder Shinnyo-en, which is quite unique for religious leaders to actually create their own Buddha images. But Shinyo Ito became quite a prolific artist over the years and created many, many Buddhist images.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for that. We got a few minutes left. Does anybody have any burning questions that you'd like to ask Tom before we wrap up? Or any comments, any shares? Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Marilyn.
That I know we have one of the largest Hindu temples here. And
I'm sorry, pardon me?
Oh, I was wondering if there's anything out here in Minneapolis, Minnesota that correlates to your stuff.
Minneapolis. I'm not 100% sure. Honestly, where exactly Minneapolis is in the giant map of our world, but kind of middle America.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I would the Midwest.
The Midwest. I think the closest temple would probably be in Chicago.
Chicago.
I'm not sure if that's close to you or not.
No,
No,
not really.
Okay, well that's all right. We definitely have opened up through with Keisha-san, but really embraces technology, and over the years we've come to incorporate a lot of stuff online. So there is opportunities to participate online, and we can view services from the Head Temple that way and connect with others that way as well. Yeah.
We have a huge Hindu temple just a few miles from where I live, and I was wondering, does that kind of go with the same line of the Japanese, or doesn't it?
No, I don't think so. It's obviously lots of different temples out there, and each one is kind of specific to their own kind of denomination. But no, I would say they're probably not connected.
But just like I said earlier, Joni, that idea of one God, many paths, right? So the idea of how we get to that enlightenment, or the karmic stuff. Go ahead, Marilyn.
Yes, I just wanted to know if you know anybody who kind of like has had one type of religion and now is doing this, but also they balance, they still stay.
Yes. There's of course there's many people that practice many different religions, and I think again one thing Shinnyo-en is really embraces other religions, and I think there's a quote from a friend that is a Christian, and he always said that practicing Shinnyo-en made him a better Christian. So I think they could definitely complement each other.
Right.
Definitely, yes, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Yeah, that's a great
For sure. Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Marilyn.
Yeah. I just wanted to say thank you very much. The information is just another step for me, and I was heartened to know that mindfulness is, and the kindness is a big deal. So thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come and meet everybody. I'm very happy to be able to share with you guys today, and I look forward to possibly doing it again at any time. Thank you so much.
John. Thanks, North Shore Tom.
Lonsdale Tom, I like
Lonsdale
that.
Tom, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Well, I like the idea of being able to share different ideas, right? And like Diana just said, mindfulness, kindness seems like a pretty easy thing to lean into, particularly in a world that seems to have forgotten some of those things on the daily. So
sometimes it's not so easy to do, but we try our best.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we send out the recording, it might be a little bit delayed just because of, but we'll get it out at least by tomorrow. Tom, you and I can connect, and we'll include how people can watch online services so that if there isn't a center close to where they are regionally, physically, at least they can connect online. Hey?
It's true. That sounds lovely.
Yeah, right on. Anybody else? Any final thoughts, comments in closing?
just going to practice this thing called gratitude, right? Gratitude for having a special guest, gratitude for maybe learning something new, or a re-epiphany if you've had an epiphany about some of these things, and then, you know, some of the talk today reinvigorated that for you. So a re-epiphany, if you will. As always, thank you for coming. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you, Tom, for giving us your time. Tom starts work in 3 minutes, so let him travel to work. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to see. Thank you.
Bless.
It's very nice.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.